mistero, la diversa bellezza insiem confonde, ma nella ritrare costei il mio solo pensiero, il mio solo pensiero sei tu.
Good evening. I'll call the meeting of June 30th, 2015 to order. Thank you for coming tonight. The first item on the agenda is minutes from June 9th. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the minutes of June 9th, 2015.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You approved. The next thing on the list is approval not required plans. Plan received June 9th to be June 30th. The applicant Kathleen and Donald McKenzie combined lots three lots into one located at 20 Soka Road, East Falmouth, drawn by Falmouth Engineering. So we all have the plans in front of us?
No.
For the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. For the record, my name is Michael Borselli. I represent the applicant. This is a simple application under approval not required processes where 3 lots owned by the applicant, Lot 10, Lot 11, and Lot 12 shown on the plan with frontage on Circle Road and Seabit Road, will be merged into one new lot known as Lot 216. The applicant wants to merge all of the property they own into one contiguous lot.
Does anybody have any comments? Is there a motion?
I move that we endorse this plan as represented in front of us without regard to buildability.
I would second that motion.
All those in favor? Okay, Ralph, for discussion?
Any comments from the staff?
No.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All set, endorsed.
Thank you.
Next thing is public hearing. Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute special permit to reduce the number of parking spaces required to serve a dormitory under construction at 85 Oyster Pond Road, a portion of 270 Woods Hole Road, drawn by Holmes and McGrath, filed May 29th, 2015. Mr. Secretary, for the notices.
Notices were placed in the three dates, June 12th, June 19th, and June 26th, 2015, in the local paper. 75 abutters were mailed notices by certified mail. 52 return receipts were received.
Okay. Yes, for the applicant.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jacqueline Downey, and I'm an attorney with Ament Law Firm. Bob Ament and I represent Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, often called HUI. Joel Kubik from Holmes & McGrath is here. His firm prepared the plans and drainage calculations that have been submitted. From HUI, we have Valerie Karen, who is HUI's housing coordinator, and Jim Yoder, who is HUI's dean and vice president for academic programs. This hearing is on HUI's application for a special permit to allow reduction in parking spaces required to serve a dormitory that HUI is constructing off Oyster Pond Road in Quissett. The site is a portion of a parcel of 43.57 acres, and the dormitory will be next to 3 apartment buildings built about 1975 and recently renovated. HUI is the world's largest private, non-profit oceanographic research institution. It is a global leader in the study and exploration of the ocean, and it is one of the world's best known and most trusted institutions of its kind. HUI is among Falmouth's largest employers, with a year-round staff of some 1,000 scientists and support personnel. HUI's educational programs involve students at the graduate and postgraduate levels, as well as undergraduates. HUI is accredited and authorized by the Commonwealth to award graduate degrees. Since 1968, HUI's joint program with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology has awarded about 1,000 graduate degrees, including 75 to U.S. Navy officers. HUI also provides several other academic programs throughout the year that give opportunities to guest undergraduate and graduate students. As guest students, undergraduates and graduates perform research under the sponsorship and guidance of HUI scientists and can participate in seminars and lectures. The dormitory that HUI is building is intended primarily for these visiting graduate and undergraduate students. The two-story building will contain 18 dormitory rooms and 2 efficiency apartments. Visiting college and graduate students, researchers will stay there for periods ranging from 2 to 12 weeks. As a nonprofit educational corporation, HUI has the benefit of General Laws Chapter 40A, Section 3, which provides a qualified exemption from zoning subject to reasonable regulations concerning parking and certain dimensional criteria. This zoning exemption, often referred to as the Dover Amendment, states, "No zoning ordinance or bylaw shall prohibit, regulate, or restrict the use of land or structures for educational purposes, provided, however, that such land or structures may be subject to reasonable regulations concerning the bulk and height of structures and determining yard sizes, lot area, setbacks, open space, parking, and building coverage requirements." Falmouth zoning bylaw section 240-1.1a incorporates this language and allows the planning board to grant relief to a nonprofit educational corporation from such regulations, subject to the criteria set forth in section 240-216. Before the building commissioner issued a building permit for the dormitory, he determined that 20 new parking spaces were required, 1 space for each bedroom. The site plan submitted for the building permit shows that number of new paved spaces. HUI decided not to request a parking reduction before commencing construction to avoid cost and occupancy problems that it may have faced if construction were delayed. Now HUI asked the planning board pursuant to that section 240-1.1a for a special permit to reduce the number of parking spaces from 20 to 11. All right, now I'll show you on the board. This is the proposed reduction. These spaces here and these 2 up here. So it will result in just having these 8 here and 3 over here for the 11.
Plan's terrible.
Can you please illustrate that again?
Okay, so this was the original plan submitted and approved by the building commissioner for the 20 spaces, having, how many are down here? Maybe 8 or so down here, and it was maybe 11 up here, 10 up here. We're reducing 2 from up here, 8 from down there. So here we'll have 8 and 3 for the 11. So this was the original 20, here, here, and here. And now we'll just have here. Does that make sense?
So I take the plan we have in front of us is just the adjusted one because we don't see where there was any that would have been removed here. So,
Plan we have a C3.
right,
Okay.
this plan is very hard to read with all that's going on. It's way busy, just so you
So I'm
know.
going to review so you.
So the first main parking lot was my original focus. Is that going to be affected?
All right, let me pass this out so you guys can see. So you guys have the reduced plan as well. Okay.
It's the same drawing, C3.
I'm going to go on with my presentation if that's fine. All right, so in HUI's opinion, the lower number of spaces will be sufficient. That's because most students who occupy the dormitory will not have vehicles. Most students are from far away, many are foreigners. They do not drive to Massachusetts, and they typically do not acquire cars while they stay here. The students do not need cars for transportation to Woods Hole because Huey operates a frequent shuttle service between the dormitory site and Huey's Quissit campus and Woods Hole Village facilities. And Huey's security personnel will transport researchers between labs and Huey housing during off hours. The regular Peter Pan bus service to and from Boston and Huey MIT biweekly van service reduces the number of travel by private car between Woods Hole and Cambridge. The dormitory site is connected to the Quissit campus by walking trails and is accessible to Woods Hole Village by the Shining Sea bike pathway. The new dormitory will have a bike rack and bike storage available for bicyclists. Historically, Huey's housing has been adequately served with far fewer parking spaces than the number of rooms. For instance, of the 10 fellows participating in Huey's 10-week summer program, only 2 students have cars. At Huey's Winding Lane housing, now used by joint program students, there are 35 beds, but only 10 parking spaces that have been sufficient to accommodate the few students who bring cars to Woods Hole. Reduced parking will also be advantageous from budgetary and environmental perspectives. Huey will reduce its cost by eliminating excessive parking and reducing paved lot coverage in favor of vegetated services, or vegetated land has environmental and aesthetic benefits. Huey's request for reduced parking will not have adverse effects that overbalance its beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or the town. Moreover, the currently designated area for parking will remain available, so the eliminated parking can be installed later if it is ever needed. For certain business uses, zoning bylaw section 240-107 allows the Zoning Board of Appeals to grant a special permit for a parking reduction. This request to the Planning Board on behalf of Huey as a nonprofit educational corporation is consistent with that section of the zoning bylaw. Thank you for your time, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yes?
I just want to be clear, we've got existing buildings, 3 of them around, and that parking lot is staying.
That's right. There
Okay.
are 19 spaces
Right,
serving
okay.
50 beds.
And then up in the upper left corner is where the handicap spots are located. Are the 3 spaces proposed going to be on the opposite side of them? Are they going to be going head to head?
I don't believe so. You're talking
Is,
the 3 spaces over here. I don't.
I see these spaces here.
Right here.
Yeah. And then are they going to be in the place where the handicap spots are? Because right now it's designated as...
No, I
Okay.
don't, no.
So they're going to be additional to this?
Additional.
Okay. So they're going to be going to, on the map, the left side of those handicap spots.
Right, there will be 3 right here. in the handicap spots. Yeah, so for a total of 27
I have
parking
no idea what she's
spaces.
talking about.
Does anybody else see what I'm talking about?
I can't.
Yeah, I do. I see the proposed parking takes the place of the handicap space, from what I can tell.
See that on the big scale, please?
Yeah, see.
Are they going head to head?
Sure.
Which spaces are you talking about?
This indicates here.
It's just showing these areas.
Right.
So these
Those-
3, these new handicap spots
Mhm.
and that one additional non-handicap spot are proposed.
Those are the, okay.
Yeah, you can see there's a curb right here. That's actually landscaped area. Right
Okay,
there.
so-
those are 3 brand new spots.
Okay, that was my first question, was what was there was existing, and I assumed that the handicap spots were existing also. So thank you for clearing that up. Okay.
So,
These are 2 handicap.
are you showing the 20 or just the 11 that you'd like to build?
Up here, we're showing both. That plan shows the original 20 that the building
Oh.
commissioner
And then
approved,
these are
and
the-
this
so
plan,
they're-
and I
they're-
believe you have this plan, is
This is
showing the
3.
reduction.
So the one I have is only the one that you'd like to do? Because I don't have the other page.
Right, if you don't have that one, right, we don't want to do that, we want to do this.
Okay,
That plan is here with that.
I see.
I have a small copy if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I was wondering what this is what is existing now.
Mr. Chair, we have a,
So we kind of combined what's
Ralph has a
existing with
question.
what's proposed.
Yes, Ralph, you have a question?
Yes, how many beds in the new dormitory building?
There will be 35. There will be 15 rooms served by 2 students, 2 apartments, and then 3 single rooms. So there are 20 units in all.
But 35 beds?
35, which right now there are 35 students, or maybe 36 students are housed at Winding Lane. That property is going to be sold. That property is currently served by 10 parking spaces, and it's never full. So basically, those students that are staying at Winding Lane will be occupying this dormitory, and historically, it's 10 spaces has been sufficient there.
And so you're adding 35 beds, and you're reducing the number of parking places required by 9, is that right?
Right.
You're asking for 11, and Mr. Gore said that you needed 20. So the units, the buildings that are in that U-shaped area, there's parking for all of them in the U-shaped area, right?
Right, there are 19 spaces currently serving those 3 dormitories,
Yeah, and how many, and 19 spaces for how many?
for about 50 students. So the
50
ratio...
beds?
So the ratio will be about the same. The parking ratio, beds to parking spaces, is nearly the same for what we're proposing.
Thank you.
Anybody else, any comments or questions?
Not at this point. I don't have anything at this point.
My comment would be that I don't have a problem with this because they are saying that the number that Eladio wants, that space will be available, should prove that they do not have enough parking spaces. So I think that certainly can be part of any decision we make, that be required, that it be available for future parking.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ralph?
Yes, Ms. Downing, is that right, Downing?
Downey?
Yes, Ms. Downing, I just did the ratio, and I don't agree with your comment. It looks
All
to
right.
me like you would need 14 spaces for 35 beds.
35 to 11 and 50 to 19?
I had 50 to 20, I thought you said.
50 to 19? They're not equal, but it's
All of this is
.31
right
and
here to
.38.
serve that dormitory,
No, but
wastewater
the
system.
ratio, the point doesn't make, that's not the issue. The issue is how does that relate to the number of spaces?
Well, what I'm saying is that currently they have 3 apartment buildings that house up to 50 students. They've had 19 parking spaces, and that has served those 50 students. The parking spaces are not totally used. There's a lot of empty space, just like at all the other, the Winding Lane housing area. There are 35 students or beds. There are 10 spaces. So essentially, we're taking those 35 beds and placing them here and having an additional parking space. There, we only have 10 spaces, and it's never, the parking lot is not full. And to the comment, that's right, if extra space is needed, it would be available to install more parking.
I would think then you ask for an even greater reduction. I mean, you've got excess already. So it doesn't sound right to me. Anyway, thank you.
I don't have a problem. I always think we pave too much stuff and ask for too much parking. If they think they can live without it, I personally don't have a problem with it. Yes, Ken?
So I can't really see the existing, or the proposed one versus the other. Are the spots that are going to be reduced, are those all staying vacant land from that plan to this plan?
Right, so let me help you understand.
Yeah, because I mean, just looking at this, I see where they're going.
So, you understand that we have the parking here, and we have
Yes.
proposed parking here. We want to remove this portion and leave it vegetated
Okay.
land, grass, trees, bushes, whatever it's going to be.
And that was a spot for around 9 spaces?
Right, well, we have 11, yes, spaces.
So the spot that was going to have the 9 that you're asking to be reduced is just going to remain open space for the most
Right,
part?
right,
Okay,
exactly.
that clarifies a lot, thank you.
Yes, Ralph?
Well, so then, what you're saying is that you're going to remove those in yellow
Right.
and get parking places in closer proximity to the dorms. That's what you're doing.
No, the way it was laid out, we're just taking away some of the proposed. We're not moving anything. This is the way it was laid out, proposed to the building commissioner with the spaces here, here, and then the 3 over here.
Oh, the yellow isn't already developed.
No, this is not developed.
I see, okay, thank you.
So you're only building 3 new spaces?
No,
No?
11.
11? Okay, the 3 handicapped, and so you're paving additional areas then as well?
That's the 8 on the other side of
The
the
8
street.
on the other side, okay.
Makes total sense to leave that vacant. I think he wants to- Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Paul, yes?
I just have a comment. I think there's a unique situation because it's an educational institution and the kind of services provided for transportation, both by Hooley and the other available ones. So I don't really see a problem with reducing the number of spaces at this location.
Anybody else? Yes, Ken?
On that, from what they clarified, it makes sense to me if they don't need the spaces, that we can put something in that if this ever changed and wasn't a dormitory under this permit, that building would require those 9 spaces. But with Hui, it makes total sense that they want to leave that nice grass strip there as you're coming in next to that other building. You don't see another 9 paved parking spots. I totally agree with that.
Is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment on this?
Thank you.
I'm Ann Goodman. I live at 13 Fells Road in Falmouth. Fells Road is right opposite where the driveway from this project enters into Oyster Pond Road. There's no parking on Oyster Pond Road at all, and there's no parking on Fells Road either. But my fear would be that if there are parties or whatever that students might have, that there might be a lot of extra cars, and the place for them to park would never be Oyster Pond Road, but they would choose to park at Fells Road. And this is particularly onerous in the winter if there's bad weather or if there's snow, because Fells Road is a very narrow road, and we've already had an occasion where the oil trucks could not get through on Fells Road with this horrible winter last winter. So if there were cars parked on Fells Road in bad weather, snowy weather, it would be possibly dangerous, particularly for fire engines. That being said, I think it's good to keep green and open spaces. So I just wanted to bring up the point that the possible danger of emergency vehicles or fire engines not being able to get into Fells Road, and balance that against the need for green and open spaces. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, yeah.
Ma'am? Ma'am, can I ask you a question? With the current structures that are there and the ratio there, has that happened before where people have parked on your street or on Oyster Pond Road?
So occasionally, we've had an odd car or two parking on Fells Road. I don't know about Oyster Pond Road.
Okay.
I really haven't noticed, but I have noticed occasionally parking on illegal parking on Fells Road, overnight parking on Fells Road.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Step up, please.
I went to the planning
board.
Wish to say your name, please, and
Oh, Ann Edwards. I live right in front of this on Oyster Pond Road. I went to the planning office to look at the plans, and there was no indication of parking. I'm concerned because of the noise and because my house is immediately in front of and I couldn't determine where the parking was going to be.
See where the building is outlined? Yeah, right there. Yeah.
The building has been nicely
Mhm.
done and, okay, I'm at 71. It's right there. I'm 67, 71. Okay, my son's live there and I live here. And where's the parking going to be?
Well, this is the proposed
I
dormitory
know,
right
and
there.
that's nicely sited.
That's the proposed parking right there.
Okay.
just as a reminder here, we're here on a special, good, thank you, we're all set, if you're done. We're here on a special permit tonight, and the only thing we're here to discuss is the reduction of parking. Okay, all the other things are allowed by right with the Dover Amendment that's not even on the special permit. This hearing's particular about the reduction of parking on the, for this space, and that's what we really need to keep our comments focused on that issue.
I just want, we appreciate the comments, but I want to point out too that this parking lot that serves the current 3 dormitories and the dormitory that is now under construction is not the only parking lot around. It's kind of hard to see. This map, I have copies for you, but this is Quissit campus. There are walking trails between the two, and also there's a large parking lot here called the Clark lot, and then another parking lot over here. So if it were the case that more people were coming for an event that were bringing cars, there is parking here and shuttle service. So it's not that everyone would be flooding to this dormitory's parking lot and you know, creating a hazard or parking on the street.
More comments on parking? Yes.
Hi, I'm Wendy Bisler. I'm Executive Director of Oyster Pond Environmental Trust. I think any less parking is always a good thing. I think we do tend to overpave and provide more parking than is needed a lot of times. So I would like to see more natural vegetation than more impervious surfaces. When you have impervious surfaces, you tend to have more stormwater runoff, which then can run into the streets and then into the pond. So I think it's a good thing if we can reduce that. I think the fact that that area would still be available to create parking in the future, if it does turn out to be a problem, I think that's something to take into consideration. I should also mention that my husband works at Hui. We've had a lot of friends and colleagues stay at the apartments there, and I do agree, a lot of people tend to be international students, and they don't have cars. And I know, Ann, you had mentioned the problem and worried about the winter. We actually had friends staying at those apartments this winter. They tend to be completely almost empty in the winter. The busy time for those apartments to be full is in the summer. That's when you get a lot of summer student fellows and other students coming. You just don't get that many visitors in the winter. So I can see the concerns of the neighborhood, but I also am trying to look at the concerns as too much paving causing stormwater runoff that could go into the pond. So I think if you can try to balance the two, and I think having that area in reserve, if needed, is possible future expansion of the parking lot if needed. Thank you.
Yes?
Are any of those extras?
Could you come up to the mic, please, and introduce yourself and then ask your question?
Yes, my name is Mimi Frank, and I live right near the other entrance of the Quissit campus on Woods Hole Road, the 270 property. I just wondered, are any of those new parking spaces going to be handicapped? Because you only have a total of 3 now, is that correct?
Two of the new ones.
Somebody want to answer that? Get the engineer there?
The new 3 spaces will make the total 3 handicap spaces, which is what is required.
So,
Yeah, those are new.
anyone else? Yes, Ken?
Just to clarify something, what I just understood was, out of the 11 spots, 3 of them will be handicap, is that what, or there's some changing? You know, just to clarify that for the public. That's, is that true? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Has everyone been heard? So, motion, should I close the meeting and take it under advisement?
Close the hearing.
Close the hearing.
And ask for a motion to take it under advisement.
Looking for a motion?
I move that this issue be taken under advisement.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? I heard possibly one condition mentioned.
I think that we condition that the proposed alternate space be kept available for future parking needs.
That's what I heard?
So we'll draft up a motion for you.
Yep.
And schedule it on your next agenda
Yep.
for discussion.
For discussion, yeah. I think I wanted to get that in.
What was the condition again, please?
That the area be retained for expansion parking if necessary. Okay.
Complete?
Okay, so our next hearing
Thank you.
is be the 14th, that one will come up?
If I stumble,
Mr. Chairman, I have a procedural motion I'd like to present to the board, with your permission.
do you have to move, submit to vote that?
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm sorry?
He's a procedural
Okay.
motion. Go ahead, tell us what it is.
Procedural motion is that my clients requested that the board take up a motion to withdraw without prejudice. And the basis for the motion is that you'd like to come back on the 3 issues that seem to be less controversial, i.e. excluding the food composting issue. The reason he would like to withdraw is that subsequent to the close of the hearing, there seems to have been, or it is, questions that have been raised by the board regarding the start time, the difference between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Now, as the board is fully aware, we're not able to address your concerns once the hearing is closed. There was no concern raised by the public during the course of the public hearing, and I don't believe that there was any concern raised by any board members during the public hearing process. So we are at a distinct disadvantage as an applicant and as an advocate, of course, not having the opportunity to address the board on issues that they have expressed a concern about at the close of the hearing. And so it really is for that reason that we would like to have an opportunity to present information that supports a 2 a.m. start time. The other issue is that the start time of the waste disposal business and the start time of the excavation business, which, as the board is aware, is unlimited, 24/7, by right, is entirely inconsistent.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Let him finish his...
No, it's going beyond.
Procedural.
He wanted a procedural, we don't need a document.
Those are the reasons.
Right, we don't need any arguments, right?
That's the
This has
reasons
been
for the
closed.
request. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I remember discussion on these issues,
Mr. Chair?
clearly. So I don't know. Yes,
I would recommend we do not reduce this. I do not feel that we need any more information as a board. We sat, we heard what we thought that we needed to hear and can make a decision on what we believe needs to be in this permit and what we will approve. That's my decision.
anything on this end?
Yeah, my only comment is, don't we usually get a request such as this in writing?
Yes, always.
Put it in writing.
We've had over 9 hours of testimony on this issue. Yes,
Let me make one more comment so the public out listening can understand. We can't comment to each other on this board as to what concerns each and individual us. We cannot bring those up until we have our discussion.
Right.
So the applicant saying that we didn't bring it up, no, each and every one of us has our own individuals that we are not allowed to discuss until this hearing is closed. Then we talk amongst each other and bring up our concerns as individuals, and that's the process.
I agree, and I think the public got to speak quite a bit about operational hours, and I heard a lot of testimony on that.
I distinctly remember a discussion about those times, because I mentioned how I can't start until 7 o'clock if I'm building a house, and other businesses can't start. I remember that as a very distinct discussion.
I believe that was during our discussion after the
Right.
closing, though.
It was after closing the hearing.
Right. So I think Mr. Oppenheim's point is that had those issues been brought up during the open, while the hearing was open, he could have addressed those issues. And we brought them up in our discussion, but it really wasn't aired out during the hearing.
I don't know, I'd have to look at the minutes and maybe review some of the meetings, but I think it had been discussed, even during the hearing, because then at our discussion, it was discussed again.
Go ahead, Ken.
Our whole process is a hearing, close, we discuss. It's not a court of law that attorneys get to banter back and forth with us while we make our decisions. We're elected to make our decisions on the information we hear from the public, the applicant, and what we believe is right as a board. And we were not allowed to say that, tell the applicant about hours or anything. That is actually breaking our protocol, so to speak, to tell them everything that we don't like about an application or disagree with that he's proposing during the hearing process.
Yes, Pat.
One expects that during a hearing, the applicant must fully present their position and fully present their arguments for whatever they wish this board to grant. If a full argument was not given for the necessity of opening at 2 o'clock, that is the fault of the applicant. As Ken has quite well put it, we cannot debate while they're presenting their information. So,
Any comments on that end? Yes, Paul?
I distinctly remember talking about the time, and if I remember correctly, I'll have to check the minutes, but over the series of several hearings, we discussed moving the opening time from 7 to 6, we discussed that, and then moving it to 5, we discussed that. So I think we did vet this particular issue, and for it to come up now and say there wasn't an opportunity to talk about it to 2 a.m., I'm struggling with that, because we did talk about it, and we did agree for the applicant to have additional time.
So I guess we...
To 5 a.m., so
Yeah.
I don't know why this issue is coming up now, frankly.
I guess we have a procedural motion on the floor. Does anyone want to second it? Is that what we do?
No board member has made a motion.
Right, no, so we don't really have anything.
Correct.
Does anyone want to make a motion? Yes, Ralph?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Marlene, a remedy to this, I would hate to have to go through this whole hearing again. A remedy for the applicant would be to, at a subsequent date, file for an amendment to the special permit. Isn't that allowed?
So a couple of things can happen. An applicant certainly has the right to appeal your permit if they're unhappy with your decision. An applicant also has the ability to modify a permit in the future,
Right,
which you've seen that in a number of cases.
right. That was my question.
Without waiting the 2 years?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Pardon?
Without waiting 2 years.
Without waiting.
2 years. And
They have to wait 2 years to modify a special permit?
If you deny it.
Oh, yeah, if we deny it, right. But if we should theoretically approve this,
Okay.
and the applicant still has the option of coming back to us and asking for a modification of the special permit.
I'd like to
Is
keep
that
going.
correct?
I think, without a motion on the floor, I'd like to proceed.
Pardon?
Without a motion on the floor?
No, it was not a motion. I'm asking a question of our staff,
Okay.
whether or not, as a remedy, instead of allowing the applicant to withdraw tonight, should we approve it, they still have, at a subsequent date, the opportunity to request a modification of the special permit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's a good resolution, Ralph.
There's also language in our motion to resolve the issue too. So, without further ado, we've read the public notice, correct? And so this is a discussion and a decision. The applicant, Nathan Ellis Highway LLC, special permit to use a portion of the property located at 210 Nathan Ellis Highway for waste disposal contractor, drawn by J.E. Landers Colley. I have the motion to read. Are we all set? Motion that the planning board vote to approve in part and deny in part the application of Nathan Ellis Highway LLC under section 240-64.5D, the zoning bylaw of Falmouth. The plan entitled Proposed Usage Plan prepared for Nathan Ellis Highway Limited Liability Company of lots 10 and 11, Route 151, Falmouth, Mass. Prepared by J.E. Landers Colley, scale 1 inch equals 40, drawn May 4th, 15, with the following background information, findings, and conditions. Background, 240-64.5D, the zoning bylaw authorized by special permit from the planning board, a waste disposal contractor. Use, including the handling facility where solid waste, non-compostable bulky waste, commercial waste, recyclable material, asphalt, pavement, brick, and concrete, construction and demolition waste is brought, sorted, temporarily stored, and/or transferred from one vehicle or container to another vehicle or container for transportation off-site to a recycling or solid waste treatment, processing, or disposal facility. In addition, compostable materials, commercial organic materials, compostable bulky waste may be brought to the site and composted on-site. Any materials, equipment, or vehicles used in connection with waste disposal may be stored, parked, serviced, and maintained at the site. This application, together with the supplemental information provided by the applicant in letters dated March 31st, 2015 and May 7th, 2015, addressed to the town planner, requests the following in abbreviated form. Pursuant to the special permit, the board may issue 15 municipal solid waste truck storage spaces and 100 municipal solid waste dumpsters, recycle up to 60 tons of cardboard, and composting of organic materials, 5 tons daily. The proposed site is located at 210 Nathan Ellis Highway, Route 151, which is an active construction contractor's yard, Cavosa Excavation, a use allowed as a matter of right in a licensed industrial C district. The site is also subject to a special permit issued by this board, modified numerous times, granting, among other things, dimensional relief for setbacks and parking. There is also a telephone cell tower allowed by the Board of Appeals pursuant to a special permit. In making the decision, the planning board is aware of the distinction it must make between the activities contemplated in this application requiring its approval, Cavosa Disposal versus a by right construction contractor activities of Cavosa Excavation. To the extent this application contemplates shared vehicles, trucks and equipment and repair activities between Cavosa Excavation and Cavosa Disposal, the planning board will condition its approval accordingly. As the application represents the initial utilization of 240-64D.5, the planning board chooses to exercise precaution and act conservatively. To that end, the planning board has done, as it has done in the past with contractors' yards special permits, intends to limit the issuance of the special permit to the applicant, an entity known to the board and to the community. Findings. The board held 3 public hearings totaling 9 hours of testimony. Appendix A of this decision lists the documents, letters, and reports received by the board and is hereby made part of this decision by reference. The planning board appreciates the efforts of the applicant and the public to inform the board of the concerns and issues associated with the activities requested pursuant to this application. In addition to the requirements of 240-216, the zoning bylaw pertaining to the issuance of special permits, the following requirements also apply. 1, the lot shall have a minimum area of 5 acres. 2, waste disposal contractor use shall not be permitted in a water resource protection district. 3, any site granted a special permit shall further be subject to the requirements of the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection regulations or any such regulations to successor thereto. No permit may be issued unless the applicant incorporates procedures and practices in accordance with the applicable Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection regulations. The board finds that the lot complies with the 5-acre minimum and is not in a water resource district, protection district, as threshold questions. Subject to further scrutiny under 216, the special permit will be appropriately applied or conditioned pursuant to the criteria 3 to 5 above. Whereas the application envisions 4 activities: 15 municipal solid waste trucks, storage of 100 municipal solid waste dumpsters, recycling of 60 tons of cardboard, and composting of organic material 5 tons daily. The planning board will combine the findings for the first 3 activities and then address the issue of the composting of organic materials separately.
You going to read the whole thing? You want a break?
You want to jump in?
Sure.
I have practiced it. I'm ready to do it, but go ahead. You're up.
All right, findings related to the parking of 15 municipal solid waste trucks, storage of 100 municipal solid waste dumpsters, recycle on-site of up to 60 tons of cardboard. Based on the proposed use plan of May 4th, 2015, cited above, the planning board finds the site adequate in terms of size. There are clearly delineated areas set aside for the parking of the municipal solid waste trucks and for the storage of municipal solid waste dumpsters, without undue interference with site operations or the use of cell tower facility. The board will condition this decision to ensure access to the cell tower. The area set aside for cardboard recycling as shown on the plan is adequate and properly located. The board finds the site suitable for the proposed use. The site is currently used as construction contractor's yard and is zoned light industrial C, where such use is allowed as a matter of right. The nearest residential abutter is approximately 870 feet away on the opposite side of Route 151. The closest commercial abutter is an animal hospital and kennel. The remaining abutting land is public open space. Impact on traffic flow and safety will be negligible. Planning board has consistently found in the past that the construction, width, and grades of Nathan Ellis Highway are sufficient for safe travel to and from the site. The number of vehicles, 15, to be stored does not alter this thinking. Impact on neighborhood visual character, including views and vistas, will not be affected. The site is bordered by a landscape berm that was a condition of a prior decision of the board The board intends to condition this decision requiring the continuance of the berm and its maintenance. The adequacy of method of sewage disposal, source of water, and drainage is sufficient for the above three activities, as there are no additional sewage disposal or potable water requirements. Drainage calculations provided by the applicant and reviewed by the town engineer indicate existing stormwater management device capacities exceed town requirements. The adequacy of utilities and other public services is sufficient for the three activities requested here as part of this special permit. Although the site may be better served with town water given the existing construction contractor activities, this use is allowed as a matter of right and not the subject of this special permit. There is no effect on supply of affordable housing as a result of the issuance of this special permit. The decision of the planning board under site plan review is not applicable as a site plan review is not required. Compliance with Articles 22 and 24 regards parking and loading, nuisances, site design, stormwater management, and landscape requirements have been met or will be conditioned accordingly by this decision. Findings relating to the composting of organic material, 5 tons daily. Based on the Landers Colley Plan of May 4th, 2015, cited above, the Planning Board finds the site inadequate in terms of size for the requested composting activity, given the use of the site as an existing construction contractor's yard and the activities already ongoing. The area set aside for the organic composting is not 360-degree accessible as the existing landscape berm intervenes. This precludes adequate access to the fire department should the windrows catch fire, a not unlikely scenario. The board finds the site unsuitable for the proposed composting activity given the probability of nuisances and the proximity of residential abutters. The board familiarized itself regards the probability of odors and other nuisances as part of operating or as a result of improper handling of the windrows. Based on the testimony heard and the various reports presented in Appendix A regarding odors, bioaerosols, and vector control, the board finds the site too close to the residential abutters on Cloverfield Way and on the opposite side of Route 151. Based on the proposed use plan of May 4th, 2015, cited above, the Planning Board finds the internal driveways serving the composting area to be inadequate in terms of construction, width, and grades. The Fire Department, in its May 11th, 2015 referral, cites an 18-foot width requirement over the 14-foot proposed. More importantly, 360-degree access around the composting area would be required. The proposed centerline grade of the main driveway exceeds 10%, a standard that would require a waiver if this were a subdivision road. A waiver the planning board would be reluctant to grant. Given the existing landscape berm, the planning board finds no impact on neighborhood visual character, views, or vistas. The planning board finds adequate the method of sewage disposal and source of potable water. The board does not find adequate the method of drainage for the composting area, given the referral from the town engineer indicating a lack of drainage divide mapping. Given the quality of drainage effluent from these composting areas, the provision of a monitoring well is also deemed inadequate. The adequacy of utilities and other public services is sufficient except for the non-provision of town water for fire suppression purposes. In its May 11th referral, the fire department indicated the need for a fire hydrant with adequate water for firefighting on site. None is shown in the proposed use plan as town water is not available to the site. The board finds this to be inadequate. There is no effect on supply of affordable housing as a result of the issuance of this special permit. The decision of the planning board under site plan review is not applicable as a site plan review is not required. The board cannot find compliance with Articles 22 and 24 with regards to nuisances, site design, stormwater management, nor can the board reasonably condition this decision to obtain such as this applies to the composting activity requested. Therefore, based on the above findings, the planning board hereby approves the application of Nathan Ellis Highway LLC under section 240-64.5D of the zoning bylaw as it relates to the parking of 15 municipal solid waste trucks, the storage of 100 municipal solid waste dumpsters, recycle on-site of up to 60 tons of cardboard as represented in the application, and supplemental information referenced above. The application requests the shared use on-site of 11 vehicles between Cavosa Excavation and Cavosa Disposal as follows: 8 roll-off trucks, 2 swap load trucks, 1 forklift. This request is hereby granted as conditioned below. Based on the above findings, the Planning Board hereby denies the application of Nathan Ellis Highway LLC under Section 240-64.5D of the zoning bylaw as it relates to the composting of organic material as conditioned below. Condition 1. This special permit is issued to Nathan Ellis Highway LLC, Secretary of the Commonwealth, identification number 201150189, and may not be utilized by or transferred to any other entity. Condition 2, the continuance of the existing landscape berm along Route 151 and its maintenance is a condition of this special permit. Any changes will require the approval of the Planning Board as a modification of this decision. Condition 3, there should be no interference with access to the cell tower approved by others. Condition 4, repairs to the vehicles and equipment approved by this special permit shall be performed indoors. We may want to make a note with the drainage catch basin. I don't know if that's inferred.
We have to just read this first.
Okay.
Finish up, yeah.
Okay. That's it for number 4. Condition 5, except as allowed by right in Light Industrial C zoning district, no composting of material shall be allowed pursuant to this special permit. Condition 6, except as allowed for below, hours of operation pertaining to the activities of Cavosa Disposal shall be limited to 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. There should be no time limit during declared weather emergencies or when responding to requests for assistance from public safety agencies. And now there's another second part of number 6, which reads, for a period of 6 months from the date of this special permit, vehicle drivers may enter the site from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., perform safety inspections, start the municipal solid waste vehicles, and leave the site. The Planning Board reserves the right to administratively review this condition after 6 months and on a yearly basis thereafter to determine whether a new public hearing will be required. Condition number 7, to the extent applicable, the site shall be further subject to requirements of the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection prior to the initiation of activities allowed under this special permit. The applicant is required to obtain all necessary DEP approvals.
Okay, I have a question on a word in the previous paragraph. I think it's page 3, the second paragraph from the bottom, and I don't know if it was meant to be quality or quantity. I think it's the wrong word, but I could go with either one. It's the...
Where are we at?
Quality.
Given the quality of drainage or the quantity of drainage, which
Quality.
is it? It's quality, then it's correct, okay.
It's a quality of drainage effluent.
Okay.
The quality of the effluent is pretty bad.
Okay. Or the quantity could be a lot too. I wasn't sure which it was, that's
I
all.
think that meant to be quality.
I'm fine. It was just a question.
Chair,
Starting off, Paul, yes.
I have a very minor comment, but on the same page 3, under findings, third paragraph refers to the fire department referral cites a 18-foot width requirement over the 14-foot proposed. I think that should probably say as compared. Someone could interpret that to be, it has to be 14 plus 18 with 32 feet. So I would propose changing the word over to as compared
Or
to
versus.
the 14-foot proposed.
Versus.
Versus would be
versus?
similar, is that okay?
That's fine,
It's an easier change?
but by reading it, someone could imply it has to be 32 feet.
Yep.
Yep.
Are we asking for modifications? Are we doing,
Well, we had a discussion.
but it's
and we're-
first and seconded, so we just can't, this proposal has been officially seconded, so we have to, somebody has to make a motion to modify, do we not?
Amendment.
To amend.
Oh, to amend, right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, amendment.
I thought these were minor scrivener's changes, but if you feel it's substantive, then
Well, technically, if we're modifying it, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So Doug would
Well,
have to make a
versus-
motion to make a change.
Versus is a minor change, I
Okay.
would say, but yeah, I think we do.
But there was something that Doug mentioned.
I had a question, it's a little late for that question. Let's just leave it alone on number 5 or 6. Whichever one it was, repairing to the vehicles approved shall be performed indoors. I think there's only the one building, so let's leave that alone.
So Paul, do you want to make a motion for your change there? Or we,
Well, I thought we were going to have a discussion before we made a motion, but I guess,
Well, no, we can discuss it, I'm just saying, but if all these things we're talking about, we have to make a motion, at least if we're gonna modify anything on here.
Motion to amend.
you want to make the motion?
Oh, we're not
I'll
done.
make a motion that we consider amendment to some minor changes to the decision.
have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that. I mean,
So you would, each change would be an amendment. The amendment needs to be specific.
Specific, okay, we can't do them all at one time. So our first one is on yours, Paul.
Want me to repeat it?
For little
I
things like
I didn't think it was
verses, do we need
necessary.
to make an amendment?
Ken's point is we wanted to do this. We're good for verses, you want us to make an amendment for that? Ken, that's what we're doing.
I'm just saying that you're amending a decision that's on the table, that's what I'm saying.
I'm okay with minor changes. Okay, let's keep going. Yes, Pat?
Okay, I would like to start sort of at the beginning and go through this, I think. And what I'm looking at is the second paragraph under background. The request was for storage and maintenance, but this reads parking, 15, municipal solid waste, and storage only. So I think we need to be consistent with the applicant's request. You do definitely park the vehicles that move, but you can also store them. So perhaps we ought to modify the first one to be parking, comma, storage and maintenance of 15 municipal solid waste trucks, semicolon, storage and maintenance of 100 municipal solid waste dumpsters. Because I think we should be consistent in this motion as to what was requested. So I've put that in the motion that those two changes be made in that paragraph to be consistent with what was requested.
May I comment on that? There's actually a couple other places in, that actually might be want to put into the same motion. On page 2, the very third paragraph, it states the same, whereas the application envisions 4 activities, parking and maintenance of 15. Right there, there's also, right below that, storage and maintenance of the dumpsters, because this, all these changes refer to condition number 4 on the back. There's also one more on that particular thing, same thing. I'm sorry, hang on. I saw it right at the end
Yeah, there were a number of places.
as we were reading this.
Right under, just the next paragraph down under what you were commenting on, Ken.
No, in the therefore paragraph, I think, right before the conditions right here, parking, storage, and maintenance,
Yes,
in the therefore.
and the therefore on page 4. This is the same thing, relates to
Well,
parking.
I guess
of-
what they're parking the trucks and storing the containers. You want to,
What I'm trying to say is maintenance needs to be added to those, because condition 4 down below is about repairs and repair of vehicles and equipment. So it's also maintenance. See, condition 4,
okay, you would like to add the word maintenance?
Ken, I
That
think
paragraph.
easier would be that it be proofread and that wherever those clauses are in there, they be changed to conform with that in the second paragraph under background.
I would second that motion.
Because I did not go through the whole of it. I noticed that
When
there were...
when it was reading, and I saw that, and I would second that motion that you made to change those on all those areas.
So we will add on to the first motion that be changed in that second paragraph under background and elsewhere in this motion wherever those terms occur.
how did you word it? Parking, maintenance, and storage?
Under the trucks, parking, storage, and maintenance. And under the dumpsters, storage and maintenance.
Right.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
okay, so you seconded.
I second the motion.
Okay.
Any further discussion on that?
Nope.
Well, any other amendments?
Do that, do
Do
it.
so, do it now? Okay, sorry. Ken, you want to move it?
It's already been moved.
It's
and
seconded. First-
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, other amendments?
If you want to discuss that
On.
amendment.
Do you have anything?
Well, go ahead.
I would make a motion on, I'm losing it here. Number 4 that I was talking about says repairs to vehicles and equipment approved by the special permit shall be performed indoors. I would make a motion that we add the sentence right after that. Maintenance is limited to Carvosa excavation as well as Carvosa disposal vehicles and equipment only.
We're only doing disposal. So we can only mention disposal and jointly used.
That's why I put them both, because they're jointly used.
Okay.
My understanding is the excavations are by right use. Right?
The reason why I'm suggesting putting this in, it's by right to use on the property, not by right to perform full-blown maintenance as a maintenance repair shop. That's,
If adding maintenance solves your concern, I don't really have a problem with it. Marlene, do you have a problem with adding the word?
This permit only applies to the Carvosa disposal equipment and those 13 or 18 shared use, or shared equipment, the forklift, the swap load,
Right.
and there was something else. You can't, this permit is not binding in any way on Carvosa excavation. So those maintenance activities of Carvosa excavation would be accessory to a by right use. So this permit doesn't apply to those. So
all I was saying that it's only allowed by Carvosa and Carvosa disposal and equipment. I'm not saying that he can't do any of his by right use. I'm just saying that those are the only vehicles that are allowed to do maintenance on that property
But
under this condition.
If we add the word maintenance, it solves Ken's problem and the whole issue goes away.
Ken's adding an entire sentence.
Okay.
And Ken, your concern is that vehicles not owned by the applicant would be brought to the site
And
serviced.
and that clearly says that the permit only allows what he's allowed to do by the permit. It's in black and white. There's no gray. It says that only his vehicles can do maintenance in that, and that gives him both of his vehicles. His by right, whatever his by right as a contractor's yard allows. But the combined vehicles, as from what I understand, are the only ones that can actually perform full-blown maintenance at this facility. So I just put that motion on the floor.
The conundrum is that you would like to allow Carvosa to maintain and service all of his vehicles at that site, if I'm understanding this correctly, but nobody else's vehicles can be serviced at that site.
Technically, the permit only allows him to do his disposal, but he has joint ones. So I'm just putting that down as so that there's no question in the past that this permit only gave Carvosa excavation and Carvosa disposal the right to do maintenance in that building. We're not giving anybody else any right to do anything in the building.
How about if we do it this way? Did you make a motion yet?
I made a
We have
motion, but I
We
would...
don't have a second, though.
It hasn't been seconded.
Okay, How about if we do it this way? Repairs to the vehicles, repairs and maintenance, because it's more than, they're different things. So repairs and maintenance to the vehicles and equipment approved by this special permit shall be performed indoors and only on Cavosa disposal equipment and any shared equipment. That limits it.
If I can I just want you to draw your attention to what this condition actually says. Vehicles and equipment approved by this special permit. It's 15 trucks, 100 dumpsters, and the 8 roll-offs, 2 swap loads, and 1 forklift. That's it.
Yeah, that's how I read it.
Okay.
But the statement I'm saying doesn't change anything other than that. It just clearly makes a statement that those can only be from those 2 companies. That's what it's saying. And if, do you want to move on? Then we can
I
just
don't
move
have
on.
a second on this one.
No, I understand that.
I'm just looking, let's move on.
Unless Pat wanted to...
Oh, you had, you were
Yeah,
about
I
to...
didn't make a motion, I was just...
No, I just... Okay.
I'd like to consider one other option if an amendment is appropriate. At the bottom of 6, second paragraph of 6, it talks about extending the hours of operation. I don't believe we fully discussed that.
We haven't got there yet, yeah.
Okay.
No, we were stuck on 4 at this point.
Yeah, we're moving in that direction quickly.
Okay, I thought you were past that. Sorry.
Nope.
Well, we're not in any kind of order with this. It's...
No, we can go around.
You have it's whoever makes a motion or has a discussion.
And we have a motion, but no second.
That's fine.
And I don't have a problem with the wording on number 4 because of the way it's worded, approved by the special permit. And we have a list of those pieces of equipment that are approved by this permit. So that speaks to the issue of who owns them and what vehicles can be serviced. So I don't think we need to add any other verbiage.
I can understand your concern on that, so that's fine.
No, I know where you're coming from.
Well, let's talk about 6 then. Okay,
Let me ask one question before... I do have a question for staff on that. What does administratively... because I didn't quite understand what that meant. On number 6, it says, the planning board reserves the right to administratively review this condition. What does that mean?
So this condition would be put back on an agenda before the board, and you would have to decide if you want to open a public hearing and change your mind about it. So if you're happy with the way things are working, if there are no complaints logged and you want to proceed, then it comes before you and you choose to administratively renew it for a year. If it comes before you and you want to discuss it, then you determine you want to open a new public hearing.
Okay.
To either extend or revoke this condition.
It's specific to this condition
Yes.
only.
Only.
It's specific to this 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. only. It's not opening up the permit. It's opening up this condition.
This condition, yeah.
so Ken, starting with you, we heard...
No, don't start. As anybody...
Well, you brought this up in our meeting, though. This is... Okay, Doug?
I like it. I think it's a good idea, and I don't see any harm in it. I know most of you guys voiced opinion against it, but I think it's a good idea.
Ralph?
I'm okay.
Paul?
You said it's a good idea to start at
I think it's a good
2
idea to
a.m.
give them the latitude, because I feel like it's just being based in reality, because I think that's probably what's already happening.
Well, my concern is, we've talked about this time and time again, and we said, okay, we'll give you an hour. Okay, we'll give you another hour. Now we're giving you more hours. I mean, this is an erosion of what we've been discussing, and all of a sudden slip that in and say he can do whatever he wants to do between 2 and 5. I mean, what's different between 5 and 6?
Well, it's not really, can I respond?
Yes, go ahead.
So, it's not really do whatever you want to do. It's like sneak in there quietly and grab your truck and get out and do what you have to do. It's not saying just do, unlimited stuff. And I don't think they're going to have a lot of activities. They just want to have a chance to start their route. And I think as long as it's not too disturbing, if it's bothering the neighbors, if people are complaining, and we can come back and rescind it and say, sorry, it didn't work.
All right, I'll comment. You know you wait for me. I have several motions to change this. I do not agree with this at all. I do not want any trucks leaving that lot before 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't care what anybody says. Our obligation is to the town people of Falmouth. They do not need trash trucks being picked up at 3 or 4 in the morning. We have not tens, but literally hundreds of homes that are abutters to businesses or apartments that are abutted to businesses that have dumpsters. And dumpsters get picked up at 3, 4, 2:30 in the morning. And people do not should not have to be putting up with that.
So, are you going to make a motion that we delete that paragraph?
There's 2 ways you can go with this. And the first one that I first thought about is leaving it in, but removing the leaving the lot. I'll read the shortest one. This is the one I think's most to the point. I'd like to make a motion to amend condition 6 to say, hours of operation pertaining to the activities of Cavosa disposal shall be limited to the hours of 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. No vehicles are permitted to leave this site before 5 a.m. There shall be no time limit during declared weather emergencies or when responding to requests for assistance from public and safety agencies. I'll just put that motion on the floor. It gets rid of that paragraph.
And delete the second paragraph.
That gets rid of the whole 6. That would be the complete 6. And in there, no vehicles are permitted to leave the site before 5 a.m. Specifically in there.
I'll second it.
Jim?
Well, I'm going to have comment on it.
No, I know, but when you do the voting, I want you to just remember Paul's not eligible, and amendments also take a supermajority.
Okay, we'll get there. My concern, I share your concerns, but I think that goes too far when you say no vehicle can leave the site. That means if somebody's there, they want to drive the car out, they can't do it. I mean, I don't know.
This is pertaining to waste vehicles. His
Okay.
trucks, his tractors, everything to do with trucks.
None of the vehicles in this special permit.
Well, that's what it is. I mean,
Right,
he's looking
so-
for,
All right, so, okay, I was just wondering, okay, it's going to say a car can't drive in and out of the site?
technically, no. Their hours of operation are from 5 to 10 a.m.
Oh,
for the trucks, for the waste disposal. He has his by right use for his excavation. That's totally different. We're not talking about that.
okay. Oh. So we have a motion, Pat, did you second that?
I did.
Any other further discussion on this?
I don't know, I kind of agree with Doug on a trial period. I'm not against a trial period. And if we do put it on an agenda and open it up for discussion and decide that there's enough evidence to warrant a public hearing, and then at that point we could hear from people, and it could be people not only out here, but people in town that have been woken up in the morning because of dumpsters clanging or whatever. I mean, have there been many complaints right now because it's going on now? I mean, you've mentioned several times how the dumpster is being emptied early in the morning.
I know of many people that have complained. And that's why I said that I personally believe that we have to protect the people of Falmouth. I mean, if somebody wants to put a condition on there that he can't do any dumping, picking up in the town of Falmouth, that's something different. But I do not want any trucks leaving that lot. Under our permit that we're giving him the right to go into Falmouth and pick up trash. And that's the only control we have to stop that from happening before 5 a.m.
Yes, Pat?
I also have another comment in regard to this. I think we're stepping on a slippery slope here, because if we allow from 2 to 5 a.m. and people can get busy about doing their business in town, what's to prevent any other contractor from coming in here and saying, well, I need to mobilize my forces and get out there so I can start my roofing at 6? You know? Or,
Well, those people may not have a contractor's yard with a special permit granted by us, and we don't have any say on that
I'm
issue.
just telling you, it can be a very slippery slope.
I know, I also think we're reaching too far. Although I do agree with Ken's philosophy on it, I'd prefer that, if there was a nuisance, that we come after it. But not stopping them from getting out now. I don't see how starting their trucks and leaving the site is going to bother the neighbors that are 700 and 800 feet away from.
But what
your-
Ken is saying, though,
That's
is
not my
that
concern.
It's not the trucks leaving, it's the trucks going out into the neighborhood.
Well, that's.
I mean,
I
if you're
understand
leaving
that.
at 2 a.m. and your first stop is North Falmouth,
I understand
you're
that.
15 minutes away, so 2:15 you could be.
Clanging and banging.
I mean, I don't have a problem with people going out there at 2 a.m.
Neither.
and doing the maintenance and getting things ready and leaving the site at 5. I think that's legitimate.
Mr. Chair, you have a question?
Yes, Ralph, sorry.
Yeah, I think there's so many ways to get around this. And not to say that the applicant would do it, but you could just position your trucks off-site in one of the employees' driveways.
That'd be,
And at
That's
2
illegal.
o'clock, he takes off.
Violation.
But that's illegal.
No, it's not illegal.
Yes, it is. You can't park dumpster trucks in public areas. There's no
That's why we
place,
have
In
contract
anybody's
insurance.
driveway, I could put any kind of truck I want in my
not
driveway.
legally.
Not legal.
Your neighbors wouldn't like it.
Who says I can't do that?
my neighbor got kicked out with his dump truck, another neighbor got kicked out with a school bus.
You can't do that. That's why he's before us trying to get a permit to be legal to do what he's
That's
doing.
why we have
at this
contract insurance.
location.
Okay, then he could also find an alternative.
But that's not our per se here. If he works around,
I'm just talking about alternatives.
if he works around it legally or illegally, that's not us to determine. I'm just saying that we are here to protect the people in the town that should not have to hear trash trucks picking up dumpsters at 3 and 4 in the morning around their house.
Jim, I do just want to remind the board that your special permit is specific to this site.
I understand that. And that's why I don't think I can support that amendment, for that reason. I agree with the philosophy, but I just don't think we can do it. Don't think it's,
Why?
because we're trying to manage business all over town and not relating to this site.
No, we're not.
Excuse me? How is that not relating to this site?
Well,
We're saying you can't leave from the site before 5 a.m.
We
well, if he
can't.
leaves quietly, I think we're trying to prevent making noise all over town.
No.
Well, that's what I thought I heard Kent say.
Well, the Board of Health has a regulation that you're not allowed to pick up trash in the town before 7 a.m., except for Mr. Cavosa. He has the right to do that. And from what I understand, he's the only one that has a right. No other town trash pickup or anybody can come and pick up before 7 a.m. in the town. We're not to determine what the Board of Health does, but there is an ordinance that doesn't allow that. And I don't think that we should have people picking up trash in the town of Falmouth before 5 a.m. Now, I've already put the amendment on the floor.
Yeah, and we have a second.
And a second.
And
So-
I'm ready to call for a vote.
You can vote on it, and if it's got to take a
I'm ready
supermajority,
to call
fine.
for a vote. Anyone else have any further discussion on this issue? This is related to number 6, when we're basically deleting the entire second paragraph. And what's the word you're adding? You didn't make one change to the first paragraph?
Well, it was basically, it's on the record. It says no vehicles are permitted to leave the site before
Okay,
5 a.m.
5 a.m. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Paul,
Paul,
you're
you
not
can't
eligible
vote.
to vote.
Okay.
You
I'm
missed
not
one.
eligible to vote on it.
You're not eligible to vote.
Correct. And I'd like to explain that if I will.
Go ahead.
We've had a series of hearings, at least 3 of them, and I unfortunately had to be out of town during one of those hearings. And I've been advised by counsel that I can discuss, but I cannot vote on the merits of this decision. So I have to recuse myself from a vote. Thank you.
But not from discussion, right? So, in favor?
Could you call for the vote again, please?
Yes. All those in favor of the vote for the Ken's amendment on article number 6?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so it's
Looks like the opposed have the majority.
Abstain.
Okay, we're moving on.
So it's important, what was the vote count?
3 and 3.
3 and 3.
3 and 3. 3 in favor of the amendment.
And 3 against.
3 opposed to the amendment.
And 1 abstain.
And 1 abstention.
That was my first option, but I went with the second one.
Decision.
Okay.
So that means that, so I just want
scratched
everybody
out.
to know.
It's as written.
The top
In
one.
order for the amendment to pass, it takes 5 votes.
Yeah, we knew that.
Okay.
Do I hear any other amendments? I thought I might.
Okay. Ken wanted me to read this one as opposed to the one that just got a tie vote on it. Except as allowed for below, hours of operation pertaining to the activities of Camosa disposal shall be limited to 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. There shall be no time limit during declared weather emergencies or when responding to requests for assistance from public safety agencies. Now, that's the same, but the second paragraph has changed. For a period of 6 months from the date of this special permit, vehicle drivers may enter the site from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. and perform safety inspections. No vehicles are permitted to leave the site before 5 a.m. The planning board reserves the right to administratively review this condition after 6 months and on a yearly basis thereafter to determine whether a new public hearing will be required. And I'm moving that as an amendment.
I'll second.
How does that differ from what we just voted? 5 a.m. to 7 a.m.?
No,
It allows them to go on the site
right.
and perform their maintenance and security and all the inspections. The vehicles just can't leave the site before 5.
I thought that's what we just voted.
No.
There's a nuance that they can now go in and do safety checks and warm up the trucks and
Warm
do
up the
things.
trucks. Get
But
ready
they
to
just
leave.
can't leave. They can do everything but leave. It's just a,
So we just voted they couldn't go in or out.
right, they,
The
we
vote-
voted
the
no.
vote previously to this.
No, the vote previously was to, as written on the page here. The amendment was no vehicles to leave at all, and that lost. And now there's another amendment to allow them to come in and do work but not leave
Until 5.
until 5. And did I get a second on that?
Yeah.
So we're in the discussion phase of that, Ralph.
Yep.
No further discussion. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
3 to 3 again.
This ain't fast enough.
Okay.
Okay. We had no discussion on number 7, it's the DEP approvals. Any other amendments from the board? So, do I hear a motion to approve the decision as amended?
I will move.
Oh, it's
No,
moved and
it's-
seconded.
It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's moved
and the amendments
seconded
that
and
were
amended.
They're all
approved,
done.
they're amended.
Okay?
Okay. I wasn't sure if we had moved it.
Yeah, so Jim and Doug moved it, seconded by Ralph, amended.
Okay.
So the amendments were the and storage and maintenance language throughout.
Yep.
So that's the motion you're voting on.
Okay.
It's gonna be tough.
Okay.
So, all those in favor? We've already done it.
No, we haven't
All
voted
those in favor
of the main
of the
motion.
main motion?
Aye.
Aye.
We got 3, 4, okay.
All those opposed?
Aye.
4-2.
It's the starting error. Pure and simple.
Okay.
Okay. Well, moving on then.
Okay.
Next is general correspondence.
Is that the letter from Eladio?
We had a couple there. Yeah, determination of access lot 8, Timothy Bourne Cartway, items, that's the first letter. Where is it? Request for determination of access to the planning board for lot 8, Timothy Bourne's Cartway, East Falmouth. This is regards to a building permit application for John Drewley. So we have to determine whether the access is applicable. Anyone have any comments on this? We've all visited the site before. Everyone familiar with it?
Yeah.
So what is the general correspondence that we received?
Is it just the letter?
That's a letter dated 2010, that's just a reference letter.
This is the letter.
Right.
What is the letter?
The letter to the planning board from John Drewley,
Yeah,
right here.
I want to hear
Okay.
it.
This is a request for determination of access to the planning board for Lot 8, Timothy Bourne's Cartway, East Falmouth, in regards to a building permit application by John L. Drewley. I just read it a minute ago, that's all it was that one line. He has applied for a building permit, and Eladio Gore has referred him back to us saying that we need to determine that the access is appropriate. It's that dirt, he wants, instead of 6 lots or 5 lots, he wants 1 building lot.
We've already ruled on this in 2010, according to this letter.
So that letter's for lot 18.
We have a lot 18 here, or is that the next one down, or?
Well, okay, so in 2010, Their Lot 18 was owned by Mr. Drewley. That's, if you were heading north on the Cartway, that lot would be on the right. Since then, you modified the Air Parks special permit open space decision. Lot 18 is now part of the Air Parks open space. Mr. Drewley now owns an equivalent piece of property, Lot 10, on the opposite side of the Cartway. That was that switch with the Air Park. So in 2010, you gave the direction to Eladio for Lot 18. Eladio can't use this because it's not referencing the correct location anymore since that special permit has been modified. So we gave you the 2010 letter just for your information as to what the board thought was adequate access at that time, and you can choose to apply these same types of standards for the lot on the opposite side of the Cartway if you so choose.
What lot number is that? Is that on the letter?
That's on the letter.
What's the lot number, Jim?
Lot 8.
Lot 8,
Okay.
excuse me, Lot 8.
Jim?
So, yes,
I'm ready to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we apply the same standards in our 2010, March 31st, 2010 letter referencing Lot 18 to Lot number 8.
I'll second that.
I wish I had a map.
and that was in this letter. Those are in the letter of March 31st, 2010.
Right.
Correct. 1 through 4.
1 through 4. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I do have a question.
Yes.
By doing this, does it allow them to make that a buildable lot? Or if he applies this, it does not allow them to make that a buildable lot?
It makes it a buildable lot. One buildable lot.
Okay, that's where I wish I had the thing so I could look at it. Okay.
Yes, you have heard them before, but I'll refresh. This is the letter March 31st, 2010.
5 years ago, did you read that?
Yes. The applicant shall fill any potholes, regrade the cart path with packed gravel surface to a width of 18 feet from the paved portion of Timothy Bourne Cartway serving the 40B housing development across the entire length of the reference frontage lot. The applicant shall also provide at least 10 feet high clearance the entire length of the way.
The improved way.
The improved way. This decision is not to be construed as a determination that the applicant has the right to enter under Timothy Bourne Cartway or make any of the improvements. This determination of the zoning bylaw is not a finding that with the above improvements, the property is eligible for an approval not required endorsement under 81P C41 general laws for the creation of additional building lots. The planning board recognizes the potential for additional homes along the Cartway. Therefore, this determination applies only to the referenced lot. The planning board may require future applicants to undertake additional improvements to the Cartway to ensure the safe and adequate access.
Thank you.
No problem. So it's been moved and seconded with these conditions?
But it won't be exactly this worded, because it's not really a 40B housing development.
Yeah.
Well, no, that
That refers to this site.
portion is a 40B housing development. So where the cul-de-sac
That's a start
ends,
point.
That's where we're starting from.
That's a reference.
Oh, I see.
It's
That's
just,
not the site.
it's just adding the conditions that they would have to
Starting
do
from
to
there.
make it a buildable lot.
18 feet wide, 10 feet clear, fill the potholes, and I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Approved.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Would you like a copy of this, sir? Would you like a copy of the 2010 letter? Sure.
We did have another letter of correspondence here, didn't we? Yeah, I saw it someplace. Correspondence. Yes, here we go. Okay, this is to, a letter to myself as chairman of our board and to Doug Jones. Basically, what they're asking for, I can read the whole thing, but the affordable housing people would like to make sure that we put affordable housing on the agenda of our upcoming meeting with the selectmen. And I don't know if it's even appropriate, we haven't even proposed an agenda yet. Yeah, well, last night they were talking about a date, but they haven't reviewed it with, so, I mean, it's something we can talk about, but I'm not ready to make it affordable. I'd like to see what the selectmen want to talk about.
And you say affordable housing people, you mean the Affordable Housing Committee?
Yeah, Affordable Housing Committee,
Okay.
yeah.
So just a request that we put it on the agenda for our joint meeting.
Right.
And it's to both boards.
And it's to both boards and let,
And the agenda hasn't been drawn
And
up
it-
yet.
right.
So if, when the agenda is drawn up, if there's room, or whether that's a priority for both boards, then
We'll
that
take
can
it,
be
yeah.
determined at that time.
Seems like a reasonable request. We have discussed the importance of it.
They've just now got a quorum recently, and they're starting to regenerate their responsibilities to the Board of Selectmen.
Who's the home team for that meeting?
It'll depend on what the date is. So if it's a Monday night, it'll be the selectmen. If it's a Tuesday night, it'll be the planning board.
Nothing in the works yet for the date.
they mentioned something last night, I watched the meeting.
They're looking at the end of July.
Yeah.
We'll have to check everyone's availability.
So we've heard it, and Doug has it too, so we'll,
Yeah. So we have
no
time
vote
to
on it or
the
anything.
agenda.
I just want to make sure it's
Okay.
into the record. Next meeting, Tuesday, July 14th. Is that good for everybody? Everybody going to be here?
Yeah.
Nothing else on the agenda?
I move to adjournment.
I'll second that motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.